right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
A weekend weather impact alert for the potential of high impact winter weather by Sunday. The latest timing and threats you need to know about.
What goes up must come down.
It's irresponsible. It's unforgivable, really.
Tonight, a St. Louis couple sharing their anger over New Year's near miss. Our top story, celebration turns to chaos.
He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did.
The deadly attack in New Orleans now being called an act of terrorism.
It was chaos and very, very scary.
Just hours ago, President Biden addressing the country.
After the despicable attack.
Just hours ago, President Biden addressing the nation after terror on the streets of New Orleans' historic French Quarter in the opening hours of the brand new year. We want to thank you for joining us for 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Brent Solomon. Mike and Kelly have the night off. Investigators are learning more about the man police say intentionally drove into a crowd of people on Bourbon Street overnight. We know at least 15 people are dead. Dozens of others were critically hurt. The suspect is among the dead.
After hitting the crowd, he exited the vehicle and fired upon local law enforcement. Law enforcement returned fire and the subject was pronounced deceased at the scene. An ISIS flag was located on the trailer hitch of the vehicle.
The suspect has been identified as a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. The FBI saying the suspect posted ISIS-inspired videos before the attack. Investigators don't believe he acted alone. And tonight, another deadly incident now being investigated as a possible act of terrorism. A Tesla Cybertruck exploded outside of the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas, leaving the driver dead and 7 others hurt. Law enforcement confirming that truck was rented from the very same company as the pickup used in the New Orleans attack. Several camp fuel canisters were spotted in the bed of that truck. Well, the Sugar Bowl game between Notre Dame and Ohio State, it was set for tonight at the Caesars Superdome. It has to be postponed until tomorrow. Officials say it will be secured. The tragedy in New Orleans hitting close to home for a St. Louis native. She attends Tulane University and takes classes blocks away from the crash site. New at 10, our Tracy Henson caught up with that student about the impact the tragedy is having on her home away from home. Tracy.
Brent, up until 5 years ago, Sarah Herbster called St. Louis home. But in August of 2020, she started classes at Tulane University in New Orleans. This morning, she woke up to emergency texts from the city.
The city sends out alerts if there's like a closure, or if there's like neutral ground parking allowed, just like weather report stuff.
So when she got the text saying Bourbon and Canal was closed, she didn't think much of it at first.
I kind of get those texts a lot.
But with activity on Canal Street, she thought twice.
I actually go to classes downtown, so I go to school on Canal Street.
A few blocks from the lively French Quarter and Bourbon Street.
Honestly, my initial reaction was that it was a drunk driver on New Year's Eve.
An accident, but when she read on that it was an attack.
You just don't expect it to happen to pretty much your home.
Her home and where her friends are.
I know a couple. One was there until 10, 11 o'clock. Just at a restaurant, and then one of my really good friends was actually on Bourbon Street.
Thanks to Find My Friends, Sarah had a feeling her friends were safe. She texted, "Are you okay? I see that you're home, but I want to make sure you are safe."
When she woke up this morning, she was just in complete shock and just felt very grateful to have left when she did, because her life could have completely changed.
A few hours later, Sarah texted, "Is everyone you know okay?" Her friend replied, "I think so. Still waiting to confirm, but locations on Find My iPhone are okay."
It's just it's a sad way to kick off 2025, but I have no doubt that New Orleans will come back from this.
Sarah is worried about tourism in New Orleans and what this attack could mean for the economically important Mardi Gras celebrations that are only 2 months away. But she says NOLA is resilient.
Tracy, thanks for your reporting tonight. Impact Life supplying blood donations to New Orleans following this morning's attack. The blood center sent a shipment of type O red blood cells. Impact Life is also asking for donations to replenish local blood supplies. We have a link to blood drives in the As Seen on TV section of KSDK.com. We will continue to follow the latest developments from New Orleans on air on KSDK.com and on the 5+ streaming app. Turning now to your weather impact forecast. A pretty quiet and chilly start to the new year. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell tracking a winter storm with possibly big impacts for the first weekend of the year. Scott.
You know, Brett, it's looking like we're going to have probably the largest winter storm we've had in a while around St. Louis this weekend. We already have a weather impact alert for very late Saturday night, midnight Sunday, through about lunchtime on Monday, although it may wind down a little bit sooner. But snow is going to spread in. Then there's going to be a wintry mix. There may be some sleet and freezing rain. That could impact snow totals. But the one thing that we're pretty confident of, there will be travel trouble. And if you're traveling on Sunday, you will need some extra time to deal with that. So we're still trying to figure out the exact track of the storm system. A little farther north, that shoves us into a little more of a mix. A little farther to the south, we get into more of a mostly snow scenario. I can tell you this, the areas that look like they will see the greatest snowfall amounts right in that area where we go from the mix to it being totally snow. So where there's a mix of sleet and snow to where it becomes all snow, that area, which most likely is going to be on the north side of the metro area, don't hold me to it just yet, but that's what it's looking like right now. That area could see upwards of 8 or more inches of snow. Farther south, you have lesser amounts because you have that wintry mix of some freezing rain, some sleet. Bottom line is the impacts are pretty much the same. We're going to need extra time on Sunday. If you can travel on Saturday, you should do that to get ahead of this system. Colder air arrives by Friday. Yes, we're trending in that direction. Impactful wintry mix by Sunday. And again, everything is still on the table at this point with a stripe of heavier snow likely to be just north of St. Louis. We'll keep you updated.
All right, Scott, we'll see you soon. With that winter weather on the horizon, you'll want to stay up to date with the latest weather impact forecast. Text the word weather to 314-425-5355. We'll send it to your phone in seconds. New Year's dinner cut short tonight at the Texas Roadhouse in Kirkwood. Just 2 hours ago, a fire broke out in the kitchen. It spread to the roof. Firefighters knocked it out pretty quickly. People had to evacuate that packed restaurant. We're told it could be closed for the next couple of days. Tonight, St. Louis police investigating a deadly shooting involving a police officer outside of a New Year's Eve party downtown. According to police, a fight involving 20 to 50 people broke out early this morning outside of the Will House. A Leadington, Missouri officer was working security at the bar and claims a man pulled out a gun and refused orders to drop it. The officer shot him. He later died at the hospital. A 26-year-old man was grazed by a bullet during that fight. He's expected to be okay. Illegal celebratory gunfire ringing in the new year leads to a bullet hole inside of a local family's kitchen. It's the danger area officials warned about. New at 10, Robert Townsend is speaking with the family hours after it happened.
It was not the way Kathy and Don Costello wanted to ring in the new year.
I was standing right here when I was doing the dishes, and it had to have happened between midnight and 12:30. We hoped it was fireworks, but, you know, my husband was saying it's too fast. It's probably not.
He was right. The startled couple looked up and suddenly saw this hole, a stray bullet someone fired to ring in the new year, blasted through their kitchen ceiling. The Costellos gave the slug to police. The couple has lived in unincorporated St. Louis County near Florissant for nearly 50 years.
It's a combination of feeling very fortunate, very blessed that no one was hurt, but it's also very disturbing to think that someone is shooting guns in the vicinity. The police officer told us it could be as far as a mile away.
They might be shooting them straight. Who knows where they're shooting them? And it's kind of ridiculous. There's not a whole lot of sense in it, I don't think.
St. Louis County Police say between 11 p.m. on New Year's Eve and 1 a.m. New Year's Day, they received 138 calls for service for shots fired or fireworks. Police say they don't believe anyone suffered any injuries. Still, they tell us celebratory gunshots were fired into at least 3 homes in North County. All of the homes were occupied at the time. You know, every year we do this story and we try to warn communities about the dangers of firing celebratory gunfire fire on New Year's Eve. You bet the Costellos now have their own message they want you to hear.
If the bullet goes up, it has to come down. It could hurt someone, it could kill someone.
Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
And during another incident, a Cahokia mom reported a stray bullet shattered a window at her home overnight and grazed her 7-year-old son in the arm. Bomb and arson investigators searching for the cause of an overnight fire in Jennings that left a man dead. Neighbors on Riverwood Drive tried to use a garden hose to put out the fire. Firefighters arrived and found the homeowner in the garage. He later died at the hospital. Anyone with information should call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. There's a new sheriff in town tonight. Alfred Montgomery was sworn in as sheriff of St. Louis City this morning. This was on the steps of the civil courthouse. He won a closely contested election against former sheriff Vernon Betts. And just one day before taking over, Montgomery filed a temporary restraining order against Betts. Montgomery claims the former sheriff refused to give him access to the property room at midnight, as outlined in the state constitution. Several department vehicles were also missing, but later located without keys.
The attorney filed a restraining order to keep individuals out of the property room so nothing will come up missing. So what I do know is the administration, some individuals from the administration did take file cabinets and different things and furniture out of the sheriff's office. We don't know if any deputies' files, any citizen files. We don't know what's missing until we get done with our investigation.
And within the hour, we heard back from Betts. He tells us he's yet to be served with that restraining order.
She spoke up with allegations of misuse of federal funds.
We have billion-dollar problems and we only have millions.
Now she says it cost her her job. Tonight, exclusive new details in a whistleblower lawsuit against the city of St. Louis.
Sunday's looking more and more like a rough travel day across the bi-state region. What we're seeing tonight that has us concerned about travel impacts Sunday into Sunday night.
We have exclusive new details tonight in an explosive lawsuit. A whistleblower now going public against the city of St. Louis. A former top executive at the St. Louis Development Corporation now suing the agency for wrongful termination. She says she was fired after she spoke up and voiced serious concerns about potentially improper and potentially illegal uses of federal funds. Only on 5 on Your Side tonight, our political editor Mark Maxwell with new information and a story he was the first to break.
The St. Louis Development Corporation has been drowning in negative headlines since it started awarding lucrative grants to politically connected insiders and consultants. That North City grant program was paused for further review after an uproar. SLDC Chairman Neil Richardson said it was press scrutiny that put those issues on his radar this year. But now his former chief of staff, Daphne Moore, is going public in a whistleblower lawsuit claiming she was fired 2 years ago after reporting potential violations in how the Jones administration was planning to spend federal pandemic cash. Daphne Moore specializes in development.
We have billion-dollar problems and we only have millions.
And in a new whistleblower lawsuit, she claims SLDC CEO Neil Richardson fired her after she and her team raised concerns about SLDC complying with federal regulations on how to spend ARPA funds. She says she warned that those violations could carry civil and criminal penalties and claims in September 2022, she even asked to be removed from a committee over concerns she felt could result in a clawback of current funding, no future funding, repayment of funds spent with City of St. Louis dollars, prosecution, and jail time.
Obviously, we don't want a dollar to go back to the federal government of the funds that have been given. We know that our city is in extreme need.
Alderwoman Alicia Saunier was recently appointed to the board of SLDC after Kara Spencer resigned in protest over what she called a lack of transparency.
We're clearly not administering those funds correctly.
We discussed that the first thing we would be focusing on is reevaluating funds that have been given, reevaluating the grants, making sure everything has been been properly vetted and is double and triple checked. And so, I look forward to making sure that we do that.
In her lawsuit, Richardson's former chief of staff said he labeled her the antagonist in the office and that she warned about unauthorized meetings among an SLDC director, consultant, and potential awardees. At an unrelated press conference Tuesday, Richardson took press questions and said the troubles were isolated to just one of the 15 ARPA-funded programs. Did you ever find any other issues with transparency or any of the funding in any of the other ARPA-related projects at SLDC?
No.
But Moore's allegations include claims of missing money funneled to consultants without board approval. A spokesman for SLDC says they cannot comment on pending litigation.
One of the things that I can do as a board member is making sure that I'm asking Director Richardson specifics about the consultants. And I think if there's any questions from the public about any previous consultants, we can still ask those questions because those contracts should still be on record and there should be a paper trail for all of these things.
Once again, SLDC declined to comment on this specific case. One thing their lawyers are likely looking at here, this case drags private personnel matters that are usually handled in a closed session out into open court. The whistleblower lawsuit also names current SLDC staff and says they too agreed with Ms. Moore that private unauthorized meetings between consultants, directors, and potential grant winners were out of bounds.
Mark Maxwell reporting. Tomorrow, the Missouri Court of Appeals will hear arguments in the legal battle to appoint a new St. Louis County prosecutor. County Executive Sam Page is appealing a recent decision giving Governor Mike Parson exclusive power to make that selection. Page picked Court Van Ostrin. Parson appointed Melissa Price Smith. Bell will be sworn into U.S. Congress on Friday. Well, tonight is the 8th and final night of Hanukkah. And just hours ago, they lit the candle on the giant menorah in Kiener Plaza. The Jewish Festival of Lights officially wraps up tomorrow at sundown. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cottle joining us now with that weather impact forecast. And Scott, all eyes on this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend we're definitely having some weather impacts around here. And the biggest impacts will be to travel across the region, particularly as we go into late Sunday, really late Saturday night into Sunday morning, through the day on Sunday into Sunday night. So if you have a flight scheduled for Sunday, see if you can get that adjusted. Try to get your travel plans across Interstate 70 out of the way before this system rolls in. Now, what's coming at us for tomorrow is a little clipper system that's just going to reinforce the cool air. What we're tracking, though, is this energy that's way out here in the Pacific. That's over 3,000 miles away. It has a long track to get here, but between now and Saturday night, it does move our way. And look at that moisture feed out ahead of it. This is going to be a moisture-laden system. So as it pulls out of the plains, it has lots of ability here to generate a mix of wintry precipitation across the region. Northern areas of Missouri, central and northern Illinois probably stay all snow. We get along the I-70 corridor, and it's likely going to be a little more of a mix. That boundary between where it goes from the mix of sleet and snow to all snow will be an area where the amounts of snow sharply jump because it will snow hard in those areas for a while during the day on Sunday, and travel is going to be problematic. South of St. Louis, more of a freezing rain sleet setup the way it looks right now. Then we'll see a transition to some lighter amounts of snow as we go over southeast Missouri, southern Illinois by late Sunday night into early on Monday morning as this whole system winds down. So from midnight Sunday through about noon on Monday. And really the focus is during the day into the evening on Sunday for the worst travel conditions. We'll have the wintry mix. You're going to have travel troubles. There's no question about that. You will need extra time if you're going to be out. We do think as we head towards noon on Monday, road conditions will start to improve. Even though it's going to be cold, the road crews will be able to get a handle on this. Look at this. Last time we had a probability, I don't remember the last time the probability for snow of 12 inches or more in St. Louis was at 40%. This is the national blend of models. That kind of gives you the extreme there, but we're definitely getting wintry precipitation in St. Louis, without a doubt, and it's going to be impactful as we head into Sunday. It's 32 degrees right now, mainly clear. That becomes our new low today. 42 was the high. We're dropping back into the mid and upper 20s overnight tonight. Clouds will start to roll back in late tonight, and tomorrow a lot of clouds around. We'll likely see some sprinkles or flurries late in the afternoon into the evening. It's not going to be a big deal. Your weather impact alert for Sunday into Monday, that is going to be a big deal. Big travel trouble problems this weekend.
Yes, Scott, we don't want the extreme.
No.
Not at all. Thank you, my friend. We've got Frank standing by now with sports.
Brent, we will hear from the movers and shakers in sports. Everybody from Brady Cook to Jim Montgomery. We had a wild game in college football, and I have some New Year's resolutions to share with everybody.
This 5 on Your Side Sports Report is sponsored by Onder Law Injury Attorneys.
One of the best decisions Channel 5 Sports has made in my 32 years was to make Mizzou quarterback Brady Cook part of our sports team. He joins us every Sunday on Sports Plus. We knew he was going to be a good talker. We didn't realize he would turn into one of the most compelling sports figures of the year. And in the Music City Bowl, he pulled a Vanessa Williams and saved the best for last. In his final game, with finally a healthy ankle and wrist, he ran for 54 yards. And he threw for nearly 300 yards and 2 scores. Brady went through some tough times in Columbia, but he told me those times made him the quarterback he is today.
I look at my 5 years at Mizzou, and I really wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't. 2020, 2021, 2022, those first 3 years were hard. But at the same time, those 3 years, that's where I learned the most. And kind of putting it together in 2023 and 2024, my last 2 years, and having the opportunity to win 21 games, seeing both sides of college football, the success, the failure, I wouldn't change a thing.
To the Rose Bowl, Ohio State and Oregon. If you thought Buckeyes quarterback Will Howard was good last week, you ain't seen nothing yet. Here's a 42-yarder to Emeka Egbuka. Howard wasn't finished. A 43-yarder coming up to Jeremiah Smith. The Buckeyes scored the first 31 points and coasted to a convincing victory today. Arizona State versus Texas in the college football quarterfinals, and Cam Scattaboo had himself a day. The Cody Schrader version of Arizona State amassed nearly 300 total yards, rushing, receiving, and throwing. Ryan Wingo, the pride of St. Louis U High, had a big moment late in regulation right here. The game went to double overtime. Quinn Ewers hooked up with Gunnar Helm for the game winner. Texas wins a classic 39-31. The Blues are riding high. They've won 3 out of their last 4, and in the 3 wins, they've exploded for 17 goals. They host Ottawa on Friday night. Ever since Jim Montgomery arrived, there is a different vibe. He's not only wearing the coolest jacket in town, Monty is also coaching up a storm. He's 9-5-3 with the note. Every player talks about his positivity in dealing with them, and last night he had some fun.
When you're in an iconic ballpark like Wrigley Field and you're looking around and you're seeing people enjoying the event, and how many Blues fans, are so excited to see us out there, and then looking around and seeing and thinking about all the great baseball players that have played here, and here we are getting to play an NHL hockey game. It's just really cool.
You can see the best coverage of the Winter Classic by going to the 5+ app. So what does everybody do on January 1st? Make resolutions. Mine are no pasta and no sports for the year. Think again. But I do have some for our sports team. The Cardinals, whatever you do, you make sure that Jordan Walker gets 600 at-bats this season. He's not allowed to take his annual summer vacation to Memphis. City SC, avoid ties. You have more them than Sam Cavato. 34 games, 13 ties, no more please. Dalibor Dvorsky, an apartment in St. Louis. Let's see what this mega-talented Blues prospect can really do in the NHL. Mizzou analyst and legend Howard Richards. Happiness with the lovely Francie, who he gave a ring to on Christmas. Eli Drinkwitz. Get every St. Louis recruit. I think the experience worked out pretty well for Cody Schrader, Luther Burden, and Brady Cook, don't you? And finally, Stan Kroenke. A first-round exit in the playoffs. Isn't that the only way to bring in the new year? And those are my New Year's resolutions.
All right, still ahead, ringing in the new year with a new bundle of joy. How it's actually becoming a tradition for a North County family. Well, it is a girl. Mercy Hospital St. Louis celebrating the first baby of the new year. Baby Mia Moore was born at 12:27 this morning. Both mom and baby are doing well. Now, she is the 8th child for Felicia and Jaquez Narayas of North St. Louis County. And get this, Mia Moore has a 5-year-old sister who was also born on New Year's Day. Here's Scott with weather impact.
Yeah, we do have that weather impact alert coming up this weekend. It starts overnight Saturday night right through the day on Sunday. The worst travel is likely to be during the day into the evening on Sunday, and especially along Interstate 70, things look to deteriorate quite a bit. It'll be moving out by early Monday morning, but notice how cold it is next week. Some of us will be in the single digits for lows. This is going to be an impactful winter storm. Fortunately, it is coming on a Sunday. But because it's wrapping up a holiday week with today being, New Year's Day, there are a lot of people that still may need to travel this weekend. Try to get that out of the way on Saturday.
Very good advice. Thank you for joining us for 5 on Your Side at 10. Remember, we're always streaming on 5+. Start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 4 in the morning. Have a great night.